Butter, peanuts, butter, it's what I'm talking about. Peanuts, butters, and I'm not gonna shout. I am starting off this streaming with a little bit of singing, and I've got a collection of too many peanut butters to mention, and I'm going to try them all, and I will say which one should fall in the name of which is best. I will talk about not just one but also all the rest. Peanut butters, it's what I'm talking about. Peanut butters, I'm not gonna shout. Hello, and still showing off the peanut butters. There are 11 different peanut butters. And so, yes, today what I am doing is I am going to be trying these 11 peanut butters. I've got an assortment of cutlery, no double dipping for me. You know, it's got to always be a clean fork or a clean knife, or a clean spoon, preferably. But yes, I am going to try a whole bunch of peanut butters and tell you about them. That's basically the whole show. I am going to arbitrarily compare all of them to board games because this is a board game show, but honestly, we're taking a break. It's Sunday, and let's call it Sunday snackage. And next Sunday, I'm going to do a Sunday stir fry. And then the Sunday after that, I'm going to be at Aircon. And then the Sunday after that, I'm doing another Sunday thing. Am I going to give each one a written score? Do you mean like out of 10? Like, I don't feel like an overall score is enough. I feel like I should talk about, it's not fully it's not fully subjective. It's about, I guess there are some objective parts like the consistency, the dryness, the crunchiness, the tastes, the oiliness. But I'll try and talk about them. And sure, you know what? I will give all of them a score out of 10 for my personal preference. Okay, so yeah, we're on the same page. Cool. Before we, Jess, if you want to decide categories, then you go ahead. That sounds like a bit too much work for me. But let's talk about. And so, as I said, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. It is 10 a.m. UK time, and I am Busy Beats and Board Game Bledder, tasting 11 peanut butters. Today, I'm going to taste them and compare them, arbitrarily comparing them to board games, but basically just enjoying peanut butters. And they're all sugar-free, which was a recent realization about a year ago. I was like, wow, peanut butters don't have sugar and are still a tasty thing. That's really impressive. And so when I'm thinking of a sugar-free snack, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to grab some peanut butters. So yes, before we get to that, let's talk about recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights, recent highlights, playing games and other delights, recent highlights. What have you been enjoying recently? I did a tiny bit of cleaning. I did a bunch of writing of things. I took a lot of yesterday off. I watched videos, to be honest. I watched cartoons, watched a film, did a bit of writing down on Twitter, checked out the Cardboard Edison Awards. So Cardboard Edison is awarding unpublished games. So if you've got a game that's not yet published, you can send it over to them and they're like, hey, congratulations, this is really good. And then there's the real prize is the feedback that you get along the way. There's no monetary prize, I don't think, but a lot of publishers are looking at it, and it is very prestigious because a lot of really nicely done games. And when I looked at those awards, there were games that were word games. Well, two that were word games, a couple that felt a little bit lighter. Most of them were medium weight, but there were a couple that were. One was about climate change, which was fantastic to see. One was about the stock market of flowers, and that was an interesting topic. But yeah, also I got paper clips, which is really exciting. And I have an idea for a drafting game where you're taking cards and you maybe want certain cards and you pay for the tiles, but then you're connecting two adult animals with a lot of baby animals. That's a vague idea that I've got, and I was just pondering that. Anyway, just says, how about crunchiness, creaminess, peanuttiness, and enjoyability? Huh. I'm not sure what you'd mean by creaminess, because if it's oily, does that kind of starts going down? I will talk about those four things, but I might not always put them into a thing. Let me, just because I want you to know how much I value you, I'm going to find a bit of paper and I'm going to write it down. So I will talk about the crunch, the peanuttiness, creaminess or oiliness, and overall enjoyability. Okay, let's just talk about the texture, yeah, like viscosity. Okay, Jess just sent all the regular program grades. Congratulations. Now is going to eat a burger as a reward. Well done. Then I have to do 2.5 assignments for 70 students still to grade and all of the work of the grading program. That sounds like quite a bit. But it's apparently less than Jess usually has to do at the end of the semester. And Jess got on top of more work this time, finding out how their own brain works recently has helped a lot. Congratulations. And I'm glad to hear that you've been on this voyage of self-discovery. So let me, maybe I should get on the floor so you can see me here with all the peanut butters. Let me try and we're not at the peanut butters yet. We also have to talk about brilliant thing. What's a little thing which is brilliant? I'm going to say chairs. I mean, as much as I'm okay right now sitting on my, basically I'm sitting on my heels, I do like chairs. I do like sitting down with a chair and being like, yeah, I just think chairs, they're good for sitting on. Jess, I'm not going to share that thing, but after that brilliant thing, if you want to give a shout out to, so comments, ask questions, from like, follow, and we are on to the peanut butters now. So chairs, sofas, and beds are brilliant, agreed. So let me try and categorize them. So look, I'll just go through the peanut butters first. This one, smooth peanut butter from Whole Earth. That's an organic brand. It's a little bit pricier. It was discounted. I was quite excited by that. This has 96% roasted peanuts, sustainable palm oil, and sea salt. And that's all that there is in that one. Then you've got the crunchy type, which is 97% roasted peanuts, sustainable palm oil, and sea salt. Almost exactly the same. Now you've got this fancy Whole Earth one. There were two fancy ones, and one of them was sadly out of stock. But this one is chocolate and hazelnut flavored smooth peanut butter. So it's 76% roasted peanuts, 8% hazelnut, sustainable palm oil, date powder, cocoa powder 4.8%, peanut oil, and date syrup. So this is the first one that is what I would call heavily modified peanut butter. The second one of the heavily modified peanut butter is this Marmite one. So we've got 87% peanuts, yeast extract powder, 9.5%, peanut oil, and then tocopherol extracts and some added vitamins for some reason. How much was it? So this one is normally about £3.50, but I got it for £2 on a special offer. It's pretty good. The Asda ones were £1.50. Where's the Asda ones? Here's Asda, 100% peanuts. And this is crunchy. I think I'm going to put that into its own category of things that are 100% peanuts. Then this is also 100% peanuts, and it's smooth. This is also from Asda. Were they all about £3? Asks Jess. No, they were all about £1 to £2. I am a bit of a bargain hunter, as I say. This is normally £3.50, but I got it for £2. So, and hello, Ozzy, good morning to you. Continuing, this is 97% roasted peanuts. Then it's got palm fat, chia fats, and sea salt. So there's a few things in here. This is the one from Lidl, and just to let you know, a bit of a spoiler, this one's probably my least favourite out of all of them. But then you've got these other ones, also from Lidl, or were they from Aldi? I can't remember where the Maribel brand is from, but these two are literally just roasted peanuts. So one is smooth, one is crunchy, and nothing else. We've got the Sunpat one. Normally, Sunpat has quite a bit of sugar in it, but this is Sunpat Simply Nutty. 96% peanuts, stabilizer, E47, peanut oil, and sea salt. So I'll put it here with the things that have a little bit of other stuff. And finally, this one, which I got from Sainsbury's because it was reduced and it said the ultimate peanut butter. And I was like, if it says the ultimate peanut butter, I'm going to try it. Come on. And it was pretty good. It's 99.6% peanuts, Argentinian high oleic peanuts, whatever that means. I don't know what high oleic means, but, and then it's got 0.4% sea salt. And so I'll put, so we've got, just to summarize, we've got two that are peanuts with something else added in for the taste. We've got four. The ones, interestingly, the ones from Asda and the ones from like major cheap supermarkets were the only ones to have peanuts and literally nothing else. And then we've got these five, which have peanuts and a little bit of other things. So, what's a grand claim that one of them was the worst? Let me start off by grabbing a few little spoons. And where should we start? Anyone got any preference? I've got a bit of water here to... Maybe I will start with this one. Marabelle whole nut crunchy peanut butter. No, I'm not having crackers. I'm just having a bit of water. I was considering slicing up some cucumber for a bit of refreshment. So I think so this one, even though, and hello, Robert. It's lovely to see you. I hope you're generally well. Robert says, "Good morning, Bez. I saw the Twitter link and thought this is exactly the content I need on a Sunday morning while peeling potatoes." Whoops. There we go. So yes, the 11 peanut butter. So I'm going to start off with the one that is probably my least favourite, but whole nut. Again, Maribel. Does anyone remember? Is that from Aldi or Lidl? I'm just going to take a decent amount. You don't need to hold the plate under it. You can see the consistency. It's fairly dry. Even though it says chunky, the chunks are fairly small. And yeah, it says chunky, but it's more like, I mean, the chunks are, this is going to sound harsh, but it's kind of like it's gritty. There's not much of a crunch at all. I mean, there's definitely some texture. It's not super smooth, but it's not like I bite in and there's a crunch. This is, if you were wanting to buy crunchy peanut butter, this would be a disappointment to you. It does have there's not a strong taste. It's not a strong peanutty taste. But to be honest, when I actually eat, and I go through like probably a couple of packs of peanuts a week, and it kind of feels, in a way, like someone who's just started making peanut butter and are like, "Oh, this is, you did a good job. Well done. You made a nice peanut butter." But there's other peanut butters that do the same thing slightly better. It's perfectly serviceable. It feels like a Kickstarter game where the person's done a good job and you want to applaud them and you want to say, yes, this is a good game. But and there is a nice, aftertaste. The taste is continuing to seep through my mouth. I am enjoying it, don't get me wrong. But why would I have this when I could have one of the other ones? And it just feels a bit... Oh no, there was actually a nice bit of crunch there. It feels a bit sad. I'm going to say dry consistency, not a lot of crunch, decent amount of peanuttiness, overall enjoyability. Look, I enjoy peanut butter, and this is good, solid peanut butter. As I say, it's like a 6 out of 10, 5.5 out of 10. It's just, yeah. Robert asks, have I tried just putting some peanuts in a food processor and making my own peanut butter for comparison? No, I have not. That might be a future thing. And so, yeah. Josie, if I'm inspiring you to have peanut butter on toast, which peanut butter are you having? And let me actually sit down on a chair because my legs are getting tired. I wish were there. Okay. So that was one that had the peanuts and other stuff in it. Let's carry on with the similar styles. Let's carry on with the crunchy theme. I'm going to go to the whole earth. So immediately you can see there's a good chunkiness to there. There's peanuts poking out, and you can see what's going on. I mean, every bite, I am feeling that crunch. I am feeling a bit of creaminess. I'm feeling a slight saltiness. There is added salt. It feels like that's just really brought out the flavor of the peanuts. It feels great crunch. Maybe it moves slightly away from, let's be honest, peanuts don't have a super strong taste, and But yeah, this is a really solid peanut butter, the crunchy one. I think the first spoon that I had from it a couple of days ago, maybe because it was right on the top, wasn't the best one, but I am definitely happy with that peanut butter. Reduced to half price, I'm tempted to buy more of it. I would buy more of it. Did I not have already so much peanut butter in my cupboard? True story. And Josie says, yes, they killed a few food processors, but now you can make homemade peanut butters to sell. Is the weight of raw peanuts cheaper than peanut butter? Yes. I can buy, I want to say 250 grams for 48 pence. So that is the weight of the cheapest one of these. So that would make it 48 pence rather than £1.50 or £1.29 for the cheaper ones. Josie says their favourite peanut butter and the ones they're having right now is Meridian Organic Crunchy. I like to spread it and then sprinkle a little sea salt on top. So let's carry on with the Whole Earth. This one you can see is exactly the same, but I never compared the previous one to a game. I think this is like a really nicely made game. It's not doing anything exceptional, but you just feel, it feels like it's used really nice peanuts. It feels like it's doing everything exactly like you'd want it to do stuff. It feels like Cascadia in the board game Cascadia, where there's nothing brand new in it. It's not doing anything really new, but you just think, wow, this works really well. So this is like Cascadia. And yeah, I would rate it about, good solid 8. Okay, moving on to the smooth one. A new spoon. Again, soon I won't be able to bring it over without bringing my plate over as well. So you can see that there is a bit of dryness. You can still see the texture. It's got some good bits of solidity. This is definitely... So there's obviously no crunch. There's incredibly peanutty. There's a good amount of creaminess. I mean, for me, I don't like smooth peanut butter. But if I did, this might be the one that I'd go for. What are the jars made out of? Robert wants to know. I think this is so far they are all made out of glass. Every one of these jars is made out of glass with one exception. That exception is Sunpat. And that does lead me to think maybe Sunpat is, not so environmentally good being made out of plastic, because glass is easier to recycle, of course. And yeah, there is definitely some experimentation to be done if I venture into homemade. Continuing the smooth peanut butter from Whole Earth. Oh, the peanuts in jars, not the peanuts themselves. Well, one of them said it was Argentinian high oleic peanuts. Some of them say roasted peanuts. Some of them just say peanuts. And most of them don't offer any description at all. So I think that in the same way that cocoa, like with chocolates, when you've got chocolates from one single reserve, you can taste the difference. But just once you've really gotten into it, I think that it's probably going to make a big difference. But also the way it's processed. Mm. This smooth peanut butter, it feels like an old classic. It feels like the way you would want peanut butter to work. It feels like something that's been around for a long time. And hey, maybe it's not your favorite, but it's still doing things a little bit differently. It's kind of like I want to compare it to Carcassonne. It's just been around for a while and you're really enjoying it. Hey, it's you start to forget about what it's doing, but when you come back and play it, you're like, wow, this is really gosh darn good. And again, I'm going to give this 7.5 out of 10 just because personally I prefer crunchy textures. Now let's go to leave that one there. And let's move to the Sunpat peanut butter. Oh, I need a long spoon for this. Oh, no, that's not a long spoon. I've got some fancy long spoons that I bought from the pound shop, partially because they make me fancy, so I just like um, eating with long spoons. But it is actually quite useful when you get to the end of a jar. And so, Sunpat peanut butter. Um, wow, these bits are much bigger than expected. It's like some of the peanuts, there's literally, I don't know, a quarter of a peanut here. It's like they had the smooth peanut butter, and then they chopped up some other peanuts, and then they put it all together. There's definitely a bit more oiliness, a bit more creaminess than Whole Earth. There's a slight taste of the burning, like a slight smokiness, a slight roastiness, and so it scores honestly like probably as high as you can get on the crunch without just chucking in a bag of peanuts in there. It's definitely makes me think more of peanuts than anything else we've tasted on it. Actually, this is probably about as peanutty as you can get. It is about as creamy as you can get because any more would just get into the oiliness. But still, having tasted it again, there's something that brings me back to when I compare it to the Whole Earth crunchy peanut butter. I, I don't know. They both have their nice taste. This was actually my favorite for a while, just because it's not oily, it's easy to eat. Just chuck a spoon in and you get a spoon of peanutty loveliness. It's like you know what you're getting, and when you play it, you're like, yeah, I'm happy with that. And it's like Settlers of Catan. These comparisons are becoming a bit of a stretch because hey, it's got big chunks of stuff, like you've got big chunks of trading in Settlers of Catan, and it's simple to understand relatively, but yeah, it's good. I'll give this also 7.5. This is a really good peanut butter. We've got a bit of a chat about roast dinners. Apparently, it's pork today, and Thailand is very porky. Years ago, I might need a break to get a second bottle of water, we'll see. Years ago, Roberts worked night shifts, and one time in the middle of the night, watching a political satire cartoon about peanuts that was on late at night. He was maybe called the luckiest nut in the world. I thought that story was going to go somewhere else. You know how people often ask, is this game replayable? Are these peanut butters re-eatable? I know what you mean. Like, are they habit-inducing? Would you want to keep eating it? For me, the one that I keep coming back to is the. So bear in mind, I got 6 of them just on the Friday, so it's early days yet for 6 of them. But the other 5 of them that I already had in my house, this was the one that I kept coming back to. Let's go to the one that everyone wants to now hear about, which is the Pip and Nut Ultimate Peanut Butter Super Smooth Dark Roast. And this is the one that actually tells you what kind of peanuts it is. You can sort of see that I'm going to try and get that there so I don't want to spill anything on the computer. I'll get maybe some big spoons for these to contain the oiliness. So look how gooey that is, but yet it's got a real solidity. You can see the bits of oil dripping down there. So it's very incredibly dark compared to all the other ones. You can see a real color difference, right? And it's just dripping away. All the other ones have basically stayed on the spoon. This is the first one that I would say is actually oily. Wow. This is a very different peanut butter. It's like Guinness. The same way that Guinness, they kind of burn the hops in order to make it black. This tastes like that. It's got a real bitterness to it. It's an acquired taste. It's kind of challenging. It's kind of like the... I've not played Twilight Imperium yet, so I'm going to say it's like the Eclipse of peanut butters, because, hey, it's not super complicated. I'm not saying it's going to stop everyone from having it, but you do have to do a bit more work. It might be not a bit more challenging for you. If you look very closely, I don't think I'll be able to show you, but I brought the second plate just for... I don't know if you can see, there are actual specks. So it's got a dark consistency, a dark color, with little extra brown specks. And there is basically no crunch. At this point, am I even tasting the peanuts? I'm basically tasting the oxidation. I'm tasting like the burnt taste. I'm tasting the... It's seeping through my mouth. It's really sticky. It's sticking to the roof of my mouth. It's sticking all around. It's gluing my mouth shut. It's making it hard to talk. It's like, wow, this is a peanut butter that you remember. This is a peanut butter that stands apart. And yeah, like I say, Eclipse. And I give this also 7.5. Just says, it looks good, so wet and smooth. I think I want that one. Bitter. I want it with bananas and seeded toast. Is this one for a more complex palate? Exactly. That's why I'm comparing it to Eclipse. Or maybe the Macker. Yeah, that's true. The specs could be peanut skin. But it says extra dark roasted, so I'm assuming that they just... And that was Pip and Nut Ultimate Peanut Butter. Which when I see like something that says ultimate, or when I see the best, you know, I am easily tempted by those kinds of things, even, and so that is the one that I was tasting just there. That is definitely the gluiest one. Like, that's definitely the most satisfying. That's the one where I taste it and I'm like, wow, I have eaten some peanut butter. Let me check. Yeah, there is no oil in here. It's 99.6% peanuts, 0.4% sea salts, nothing else. So, Josie, this has no added oil, but the oil is like a naturally occurring part of the peanuts, I guess, through the thingy claim. And no, I'm definitely not saying it's my favourite, but it is up there. So let's carry on. And so that was all the peanuts. All the peanuts so far, they have had basically just peanuts and salt. Now we are getting into 4 jars that are literally just peanuts. So literally just peanuts. Let's start off with Maribel, which is a cheap brand. Again, I'm sorry I forget. I can't remember whether this is Asda or, no, sorry, Aldi or Lidl, but I don't even want to show you too much because otherwise it'll fall out. But can sort of see it's very runny. Can see it moving around there, right? So check out how that flows down. It's like a little waterfall. It's so... This is actually the smoothest, runniest peanut butter I have seen so far. And let's pop that there. And I will try and show you. That's what it looks like. And this is where you get really weird, because oh, this is Lidl, it says on the, yeah. And the peanuts here are from the EU, Argentina, Brazil, China, Nicaragua, and USA. So it's a big mixture of peanuts. And for whatever reason, this tastes fine. There's not a strong peanutty taste. I want the crunch. I miss the crunch. Yeah, Jess is right. It's kind of slinky, so wet, and almost honey in texture. Remember, this is 100% peanuts. So the next 4 things that we're going to see are all 100% peanuts. And if I compare it in color to some of the other things, so this is the Lidl one compared to the dark roast, compared to the I think that was the whole earth. So you can see a massive difference there, but it's definitely a lot closer to the ultimate Pip and Nut. But still, compared to the Pip and Nut, there isn't as much flavour. This feels like a peanut butter where if you want it to be easy to smooth, to kind of put over toast, this would be really good. It's not great on its own. It's probably one of the worst on its own. But if you're not like me, if you actually eat your peanut butter with bread, I think that this would be a solid peanut butter. It's like, some games, if you have them on their own, they're not great. It's kind of like LCR. Look, I'm not a fan of LCR, but I get that there's some people who are. I get that rolling dice and talking while you're doing it, or cribbage. I mean, there's cribbage, which is maybe a less of a controversial statement, where, hey, it's a fine game, there's something to enjoy, but ultimately, you don't want to just play cribbage and do nothing else. You want to play cribbage and have a bit of conversation going on during it. In the same way, you want a bit of bread with this. You really need a bit of bread. LCR, left, centre, right, a game where you roll dice and you do what the dice say and you pass chips around. And a lot of hobby gamers say, oh, this isn't a game, but it's a game where you're kind of talking while you're playing the game. Yeah, it might be different with the length of the roast or with, again, because this is all peanuts from Argentina. I don't know if that makes any difference, but different types of peanuts can definitely be different. So let's move on. We had the Lidl, Marabelle, smooth peanut butter, and now you know what's coming next? If I bought smooth peanut butter from somewhere, I'm clearly going to have the crunchy peanut butter, again from Lidl. Yep, I think I'll go with a small spoon this time. So, this is the texture. You can see it's a little bit less gooey, a bit more clumpy. There we go. So this is a lot more solid, and it's really interesting to see the difference. There is a slight bit of oiliness. Again, this is 100% peanuts, and it's really interesting to see what a difference you can get, even though it's literally 100% peanuts. So let me bring that on. You can see that there's good big chunks. It's glistening from the light. It's slightly dripping, but it's not super oily. Oh, wow. Out of all the crunchy peanut butter so far, this has the darkest roast. The Pippin's nut was super smooth. And it kind of feels like we've taken that, but not done it quite as well, but then added these chunks of like thirds of peanuts in there. I would compare it to I don't know, a game where it's got some bits that don't quite work, but together you feel like, it's still enjoyable. It's still working together. It's still good times. And it still provides you with a unique blend, because it does have the darkness of this. It does have much more dark. The only thing I can compare it to is Pippin Nut. Again, not done quite as well, but with some peanut chunks added in. And at this point, it feels like I want to say, trying to think of a game comparison. Gen 7. So Gen 7, kind of like Dead of Winter, but there's some parts that don't work quite as well maybe in Gen 7 compared to Dead of Winter. I'm just comparing them because they're both from the same company. But then Gen 7 brings in the storybook idea, so it's still its own thing. It still feels like you might want it. Sometimes there's still going to be occasions where you want to play Gen 7 and you don't want to play Stuffed Fables or Dead of Winter. But there is no denying that when you're playing it, you feel, ooh, there's just little weird bits about it. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, that was The Lidl Maribel crunchy peanut butter. Oh my gosh. Mm. 1, 2, 3, 4 to go. So this is Asda own brand. Again, randomly started with the smooth. This is a very oily one. I'm going to stick with the small spoons, largely because I've had lots of peanut butter, and I'm going to just get that out. There. So this one, you can see this is another very oily, thin in consistency. Again, no added oil, 100% peanuts. It's amazing to see what a difference the processing or the place that the peanuts are from. I would love to check out some peanut factories and work out what exactly makes this one so different from the Lidl one, so different from, yeah. So I'm going to, and you can sort of see the color there. I'm struggling to keep it on the spoon. Mm. 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 I've got to be, you know, I would love to try and think of more positive things about this one, but this is the first one that would. I like peanut butter, but and it's possible that it might just be. I mean, don't get me wrong, I am aware that I've just had 7 other jars of peanut butter, but even so, this one just feels a bit bleh. It just feels like it's a bit too thick. I would rather have, if I were to spread it on bread, I'd probably rather have the Marabelle smooth. If I were to look for something with more taste, I'd rather have the dark one. And generally, you know, I'd rather, if I were looking for something creamy, I just can't think of, yeah. It's not as dry, like this one was definitely the driest, at least but this is nice to have on its own. This would be nicer on bread. And that's the thing, like, what are these all for? It's like, and that's like comparing it to games. I feel like that's the key thing about games. You know, you've not just got to think about the quality of game in an abstract vacuum. Nothing gets played in a vacuum. It's all about the context. It's all about who you play it with, where you play it, what conversations you're having, what music is playing, or whether it's silence around, whether you're playing it with your full mental faculties or whether you're super tired at the end of a day. And Robert says, a good lesson for introducing peanut people to games or peanut butter. Don't start with a bad one. I guess you need salad or fruit between each peanut butter to cleanse your little tongue. Jess asks how big my tongue is, and so here's a finger for comparison. I can't touch my nose. Anyway. Yeah, so the Asda, let me have a wee bit more of it. It's nice. It does the job. It's fine. But I just can't imagine any situation where I would actually choose this rather than any of the others. I just feel like I want a little bit more texture. I want a little bit more flavor. Ideally, my perfect creaminess would be marginally more creamy than this. Like, actually, even though I don't like the fact that they use plastic, so that might inspire me to not buy it again, the Sun Pats is my favourite creaminess. But it's perfectly good. It's perfectly serviceable. It does everything fine. It feels like, yeah, now I'm going to start having to diss a game, which feels, I was going to say Coral Islands because I'm looking at it and I worked on that. It feels like, yeah, I can't think of a game that I want to, negatively compare with it. So let's screw the lid on, and we've got 3 more to try. Now I'm excited about this one, because this one, even though I wasn't a fan of the other Asda, I do like a crunchy peanut butter. My favourite is crunchiness, and this is really interesting, where this is the gooeyest crunchy peanut butter that I've seen. Check that out. Check out how gooey, how slowly it's running down, even though this is crunchy. Okay, let's get a little bit of a mix in there. And again, this is 100% peanuts. Hmm. 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 So, the Asda crunchy peanut butter. It's definitely a dark roast. It's got a lot more flavour. I mean, this is just a subjective thing, probably. You know what? Like when I compared it to the smooth one, and the smooth one just didn't have enough going on for my taste because I like more texture. Hold on, let me shiggle that to the side. So, yeah, just by virtue of chucking in those chunks, it's like, why would I not want the chunks? Jess says, my tongue is big enough, adequate for the task. I can pass my GCSE in peanut butter. Rob says, I sometimes see people in the hobby complain that games are not as good as they once were. It's just because they've had so much peanut butter already. The next peanut butter they try will never be as exciting. That's possible. Yeah, and Eric Lang made this argument. Sorry, I'm getting off my knees again because it's painful if I'm on my knees for too long. I was looking for a whole bunch of Twitter people's pages yesterday, looking at the Cardboard Edison Awards, and they ended up following like 20 more people. They all seemed to be cool, and one of them had retweeted like a couple of years ago about Eric Lang saying, yeah, we need to recalibrate. We talk about Settlers of Catan and Ticket to Ride being good gateway games. They're not. These are strategic games. These are great games, but they're not gateway games. A gateway game is Uno. And Eric Lang also said, hey, as hobbyists, we want excitement, we want variation, we want novelty. But people who are outside of the hobby, they don't really want all that novelty. They want something that's a little bit more familiar. And so, yeah. I'm not sure the analogy quite works, but I definitely do get what you're getting at. Jess says that might be it. Maybe they should get a new hobby and come back to games later, but it's not about them not enjoying games anymore. It's about them enjoying different types of games. Let's see. There. Yeah, that works. I can just about balance that on there. It's not going to fall, hopefully. Josie says, like all games, maybe its use is better with house rules. Mix it with some sweet chili sauce and make a dressing. Or cook it into muffins. Oh, I hadn't even considered. You know what? These would be really good peanut butters for cooking with. The Asda ones. Yeah. If you were to cook with them, if you were to make like peanut butter cookies or peanut butter brownies or yeah, like peanut butter chocolate brownies, that would be interesting. Or peanut butter muffins, I don't know. And yeah, I think that this would be a really good peanut butter for it. Honestly, it's a nice peanut butter. It's fine. It's just it's so the crunch is significant. The peanuttiness is actually off the charts. It is 100% peanuttiness. It's so creamy that it gets into oiliness. Overall, I still like it. I still give it like a 5.5, 6, a good solid 6 out of 10, let's say. And now we'll get into the final two peanut butters, which the last one barely counts as peanut butter. So this one, Marmite crunchy peanut butter. And I think I need another big spoon. Wow, I've got so many spoons on this plate, I've barely got space. Wow. This, again, the ingredients, just to remind you, peanuts, yeast extracts powder, peanuts, antioxidant tocopherol, so something to keep it lasting, and it's got added vitamins. This is a weird one. It's the only one with added vitamins. Also, it's the only one where you can really see the chunks. I am going to try and bring it carefully to the camera without dropping anything. Hopefully you can really see the chunks. Like there's just like chunks of peanuts sort of floating in there. It's like they're not even consumed. The chunks cannot be contained by the peanut butter, and the chunks go all the way down. This is like the chunkiest peanut butter. I mean, setting aside the concept of whether you like Marmite or not, if you like crunchy peanut butter, this is like the most exciting density. Okay. And here we get into what Rick Lang is saying. Am I enjoying this because it's got novelty? Or am I enjoying it because it's really good peanut butter? Is it that after having 9 other peanut butters, I now want novelty? That is possible. I'm not going to deny the fact. I will say, okay, you're probably all asking yourselves, how does it work with Marmite? Look, I'm not a big fan of Marmite. I'm like, that's all right. Did buy a jar for like the first time ever when I moved into my new place of Marmite. I've used it a couple of times, you know, like when you get a new spice and you're like, oh, what would it be like with that? What would it be like with that? This will probably last me more than a year. Chances are I won't buy another jar until I move out, and I'll do some experimental cooking with it. But yeah, if you don't know Marmite, it's got a slight tartness, a slight spiciness, a slight and I think it is technically it is yeast extract powder, so I'm not sure if it is technically Vegemite or Marmite that they've mixed in here. But yeah, as Josie said, it is a very good consistency. So Marmite is too gloppy and sweet, says Jess. Like, it does add some sweetness. It does make it into more of a, ooh, I had a bit of a sweet to start my day. It's like naughty little dessert, maybe. But as I put that down, you can sort of see, even though it's smooth, this is really interesting because even though it's crunchy, there's still the creamy consistency. Mmm. Mmm. I honestly believe at some point I want to run a poll to work out if that's actually true, that Marmite is more divisive than Go, for example, or line dancing, or pole dancing. And I think that the claims of you either hate it or you love it is probably exaggerated for marketing purposes. But yeah, again, if you are indifferent to it, or if you like it, then I would definitely suggest trying this one. I would say that the combination of Marmite with peanut butter, it is blended very well. The consistency of the peanuts is great. And Josie says, I don't think of it as sweet, more of that umami taste. Jess says, if you compare it to Vegemite, it is definitely sweeter. And so we get to the final one, which isn't so much a peanut butter at all. Whole Earth, chocolates and hazelnut, smooth peanut butter. Again, the reason I bought this was because it is sugar-free. It does have date syrup, which I guess is basically refined sugar, so it's almost certainly not so healthy. But it's still healthier than having milk chocolate, for example. You can see a little bit of grittiness from the date powder. I assume it's from the date powder. You can see a tiny bit of oiliness, and maybe I'm going to use a bigger spoon, just finish off with half of a big spoon. So you can see the consistency. It's staying, it's quite firm. It's, yeah, not runny at all. Trying to actually make it fall off and still hanging on. Ooh, just fell down. Okay. So this is what I'm eating. This has roasted peanuts, hazelnut paste, sustainable palm oil, date powder, cocoa powder, peanut oil, date syrup. So let's pop it there and so the first thing that comes to my mind is oh my gosh, like when I first had this, it was like this, the peanutsiness, everything else, it's peanutsy. Like maybe the Marmite, it takes away from the peanutsiness, but it's still crunchy, it's still very peanutsy. I could imagine giving this to someone, as long as they're not allergic to peanuts, like tell them that there's no peanuts in it, or say to them, hey, this is like my spread, and they're probably like, oh, that's very nice spread. Oh, it tastes like quite datey. What's there? Is there some nuts in there? Is there like maybe there's some nuts, right? And then you'd say yes. But dates, not peanuts, are the most prominent taste. And that's really fascinating. It speaks into how you can have a little bit of a thing, and then it really overwhelms everything. Like if you've got trading in a game, or if you've got negotiation or auctions in a game, or if you've got real-time elements in a game, these elements kind of overwhelm everything. So if you had a game that was about worker placement and card play, and it was about, and there was a tiny bit of a real-time element, it would be the real-time element that really pushes the flavor, that you really feel at the end, if you know what I mean. And I think it's interesting here how, again, the dates, there's it doesn't say the percentage, but there's somewhere between 5 and 8% of date powder. And what I mean, it's like just dates are overwhelming it. Not in a bad way, just if you don't like dates, don't have this. You might think, oh, it's coloured, it's like all about the chocolates. No. And that's the thing, like it says chocolates and hazelnuts, and frankly, if you were after the chocolates and hazelnut, you would be disappointed. You'd be like, come on, Whole Earth, why are you not advertising the dates? The dates are clearly the main taste here. But once you've gotten over that, it's like, Now I can't imagine spreading this. This is definitely too thick to be spread. Out of all of the peanut butters, assuming because it does have 76% peanuts, this is definitely the thickest. I would not put this on bread. I mean, I just feel like if you were to take a knife to it and then spread it on bread, you'd end up breaking up the bread, you'd end up, with big patches. It's not going to spread nicely. And that's the thing, getting back to the context in which a game is played, the context in which peanut butter is eaten. If I had 2 slices of bread and cut it into eighths, and put a bit of these peanut butters on each of them, I would have said very different things. Pop it into the microwave for 30 seconds, says Josie. I can't try that experiment yet. I don't have a microwave right now. I'm going to be getting one, but I'm not sure if 30 seconds in the microwave would really make a difference, because it feels like it's not just about the temperature. It feels like it's fundamentally, with the cocoa powder, with the date powder, it is just a more dry product. And yeah, that's not a bad thing. This is the thing that I'm probably going to keep in the back, and over the next year, just occasionally have like a spoon of it, and it's like, wow, I'm excited to have a hit of this taste. But no, I don't think this would be a spreader. Yes, I do have no microwave. So that is it. Let me. Oh yeah, and I think that's how I would compare this one to. I'm trying to think of an example. Something that's a wee bit different. Something that maybe you aren't able to engage with in the same way that you would expect to normally be able to engage with as a game. Something like Team Tower, a game that isn't on Board Game Geek, but I played at Cannes Festival International de Jeux. It's quite pricey. It's like 100 quid, and then everyone's holding these ropes, and you've got 12 ropes that are attached to a little hook. The hook, you're trying to get blocks with holes on them, and it doesn't feel like a normal game. It doesn't feel like you're able to, in the normal situation, like here, around the table, you can't play that. You probably might not even be able to play it in this flat, unfortunately. I'm looking around, I don't think there is space. We might be able to go off to the park and play it, but we would have to play it in a slightly different way to how you're expecting. And I think that's in the same way. If you expect to put this on toast, you will be disappointed. But yeah, if you but if you have it in the right context, it's a solid thing. Mm. And Jess asks, am I full now? And do I have an air fryer? Firstly, I do not have an air fryer, and I am feeling definitely like I've had a good amount of breakfast, possibly even brunch. I will probably eat in a couple more hours, but this will keep me going for a while. But yeah, that is basically the end of the show. So let me pull up the banners and we've got the question of the day. Question of the day. Let's have a question before you go on your way. So my question to you is, firstly, do you like peanut butter? Yeah, I kind of like peanut butter. I just kind of fell into this because um, I really like comparing things, and so I can't remember where it was. Like, by once like, there's a lot of peanut butters out there, so I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to buy a couple of these. And then when I was doing an order from Asda, it's like, you know what? There's some peanut butters on sale. I'm going to buy 6 peanut butters, like all the peanut butters that have no added sugar. And I do like it because it is sometimes when I want a little bit of a treat, but I don't want to have the sugar, that's good. But then the other question isn't just do you like peanut butter, but what's the most firstly, what's the most common context in which you play games? And secondly, what's the most unusual context in which you've ever played games? Because we've talked a lot about context. We've talked a lot about, it matters whether you like Marmite. It matters whether you're going to put this on top of bread. It matters what you're doing with it. Maybe it would be really good if you're cooking with it. And there's all sorts of purposes and contexts for peanut butter. By the same token, there's a lot of different contexts for playing games. I would say my most common context for playing a game is, well, setting aside playtests, which I go to every Friday, I would say it's having 2, maybe 3 of us, as in myself and 1 or 2 other people, around the table, and the game is the central focus of that evening. That is the usual context in which I play games. The most unusual contexts, I'm thinking of the time that I went to Trafalgar Square and then I got people to play an early prototype of what would become Yogi. That was an unusual context, so I'm going to go with that. That's probably about, or when I went to Parliament Square, and in Parliament Square I was getting people to play games of Yogi, what would become Yogi, and you can see those videos on Board Game Geek. I would say that's my most unusual context, kind of forcing myself upon people sounds a bit harsh. I wasn't forcing myself. It was like going up to people that I'd never met before and saying, hey, do you want to play this quick game? And it was just a sunny day in the park. So let me know. Do you like peanut butter? What's the common context in which you play games? And what's the most common context in which you don't play? The weirdest context in which you've played games. Jess is asking about prices for air fryers. You'll have to check that yourself. Have I lined my peanut butter jars in order of preference? No, I haven't. It's about £50. Stretching time. Um, okay, so yes, anyone who has any answers to my questions, I am interested to hear. And after that, we'll talk about over to you. What are you up to? You can share, but only if you want to. I am probably going to sort out a couple of wee things, have a bit of a walk, have a wee bit of a tidy. I'm going to draw some wee whimsical creatures. If you want to possibly be drawn as a wee whimsical creature, then enter my competition either on Facebook or Twitter. And yep, on Twitter, you retweet and share a picture of yourself. On Facebook, if you're part of the Big Cuck group, then just share a picture of yourself with the words we. And yeah, it's looking like a lot of blue in the sky, which is unusual, but it's still going to be a wee bit chilly. So probably have a brisk walk. Maybe just go down to the lake. Mm-mm-mm. Josie says the common context for games is either playing as a two or at the board game group. I like board games as a social activity. I'm less good in groups. I'm less good in groups at a pub. A game is a defined activity I understand more. Okay, so as the focus, so like if you're at the pub, being able to say, okay, let's go to the pub and let's play this game because then we've got these rules that you know what's going on. Yeah, I definitely get that. And for me, I think that being able to read the rule book for Monopoly, it was like, now I know exactly what's going on. And um, Robert says, today I'm playing games later. It's probably going to be Gloomhaven or Clash of Cultures, but not sure yet. Oh, I'm not super familiar with Clash of Cultures, but I hope that whichever you play, you have loads of fun. Jess wants to give a shout out to the air fryer. Josie says the unusual context is maybe playing Cards Against Humanity with Mum and having to explain the sexual meanings on some of the cards. Hashtag uncomfortable. Mm-mm. Robert says, I like being at things like Aircon where I can ask complete strangers if they want to sit and join us and it's not socially weird. Yeah, I mean, a while back, I think I made a concerted effort give, to care less about being told no. That, if you ask and you're never told no, then you're probably not asking interesting things. Like sometimes I want to ask people, yeah, would you like to come over and make some random noises together? Do some musical improvisation? Hey, person on the park that I just met, would you like to join us for a game? Hey, person in Trafalgar Square that we just met, would you like to try a game? It's super simple. And I have the cards in my hand as a table. Um, yep. So just want to give more of a shout out to Air Fryer, just saying that everything gets crispy and Thailand is a better place, except for the fact that there is no of me. And yeah, I think talking to strangers is good, but I think what Robert's talking about there is when you're at Aircon, when you're at a convention, yes, they might be strangers, but you know that they share this interest. Whereas if it's in real life, then you might be a little bit more self conscious. You might worry, oh, have I put them out? Have I done something to upset them? And I could understand some people feeling like that. And the truth is, whatever you do, there's going to be some people that appreciate you. And just by your sheer existence, there's going to be some people that get annoyed. If you play music, just the way you dress, the way you walk around, you're going to become annoyed. Like you're going to annoy some people inherently. But I think that Sure, asking a stranger to if they want to play a game, as long as you take no for an answer, and I think that's the important thing, as long as you're prepared that there is a good chance that they're going to say no, then it's okay, and that's all good. Josie says, I like it if people ask me to play games. Wish it would happen more in real life. Jess can't see me at all for some reason. Can everyone else see me? Josie has a friend's birthday meal out, taking a couple of the bargain bags. Awesome. I hope that you get a few games in, and I hope you really enjoy the birthday meal. Recap and wrap up before we finish up. Recap and wrap up before we finish up. Okay, I'm going to try and taste a wee bits of these peanut butters before I finish. This was really good. Whole earth, smooth peanut butter. That goes. I'm going to say that was really good. I think this is that was like pretty good. The Marmite was the most exciting to me. I really like the texture of it. And this is where we get into what Eric Lang said about novelty and everything. That I tried a bunch of weird ass peanut butters, the dark roast and the Marmite one and the datey one. That dates, it's dry. I'm going to say that's slightly worse. I'm going to actually put it there. Look, if you're looking for a peanut butter, you probably want this one more. And there, I'm going to say this is my rank of the peanut butters. So just to, we've got this Maribel, which has vegetable fats added in for some reason, which I don't think it was needed. I think it just added a bit of stodginess. Let me actually take a little spoon, just a tiny bit, to remind myself. It's fine, but these ones were nicer, a bit oilier, and creamier. There's more peanuts in them. These four that are 100% peanuts all ended up together, which to me is interesting. Then we've got this one, the date and peanut and cocoa. Even though it's really nice, I just feel like if you're after peanut butter, this is probably not what you want. But as a spread, as something that's, bear in mind, it's not really peanut butter. Yeah, definitely try it. Sunpat, I would be buying more of this if it were in a glass jar. That feels slightly, they are recyclable, but they're not recycled. So we've got the whole issue of there's no market for recycled plastics. The Whole Earth, I really liked that. I felt like there was some, whether it's the crunchy or the smooth, Whole Earth, really strong brand. But best of all, in my biased opinion, my subjective opinion, I should say, we've got this one, the really dark roast, the one that's basically like the Eclipse or maybe Go of, it takes a bit of getting used to it. It's slightly different, but it's, and then Marmite, again, I was tempted to put it down, but let me actually put a spoon to try these just to confirm. The texture of that, some just, definitely, and pippin nut, dark, intense, really good for spreading. And that is my thoughts about the peanut butters that I tried today. So yes, I hope that that's been of some use for you. Josie says, I should do a blind peanut butter taste testing. Can I name them without seeing the brands? If it was multiple choice, maybe. Like some of them, I'd definitely be able to tell you this one and that one and the whole earth ones, and without a shadow of a doubt, these two. I think if all of them were out, and if I had all of them on spoons, and you hadn't told me which spoon was from the, I think I would be able to match it up. Do we get the same with chocolate spreads or jams? What do you mean, Robert? Just says from Facebook, because Twitch isn't working for some reason, unfortunately. The Ultimates one. I said it was your favourite, and you said it wasn't, but it kind of is. Yeah, at that point I hadn't decided for sure, but I do like blue cheese, so if that makes any difference, I do like strong tastes. I am a person who likes strong tastes. So if you like strong tastes, go for these ones. If you like less strong tastes, go for one of these three, is my opinion. And that is how I felt. Oh, no, I'm not going to do a lot of jams because I'm trying to cut down on sugar. But I do appreciate the thought. But yeah. So I'm not going to start trying all the strawberry jams, for example. But I hope it's been entertaining. I hope it's been interesting to watch. And if you want to check me out, I am Stuff by Bez, so Instagram.com/StuffByBez, Twitch.tv/StuffByBez, where I stream every day at 10 a.m. UK time. YouTube is the same, except that after the fact you can go on double speed or whatever. And if you want to check out my Discord, stuffbybez.com/Discord. And of course, stuffbybez.com/streams if you want to check out my future streams. Share, spread the word, and thank you, everyone. Unless anyone has any final words left to say, the only thing that I want to say is, for now, bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Just says Thailand has many types of noodles, a noodle experts nation, but it's missing super noodles, which are the best. I completely disagree, but that's a conversation for another time. And yes, maybe one day I'll show you my collection of empty noodle wrappers. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for long. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye, Jess. Bye-bye, Josie. Bye-bye, Robert. Bye-bye, everyone, and have a lovely day. And, yep. Bye-bye.